Empower to Integrate, a collaborative initiative by Adidas Foundation and the African Media Association Malta. This program is dedicated to advancing integration and social inclusion for third country nationals in Malta. It is funded by the Asylum, Migration and Integration Fund, co-funded by the European Union and carried out in collaboration with the Parliamentary Secretariat for European Funds.
Welcome to the Empower to Integrate project. This is a platform for third country nationals to help them boost their visibility, amplify their voices, and share their perspective. It also aims to strengthen community empowerment and build social ties in Malta. I am Nasli Mayo, and I'm the project lead strategist and radio host. Today we will be talking about how young third country nationals, refugees, migrants, and Maltese can engage and lead together on integration matters. I'd like to give a warm welcome first to Durga, who is the co-founder and president of SPARK15. Durga leads SPARK15's advocacy and integration work and is driven to inspire all the younger generation to reach their goals. SPARK15 is also a youth group who advocate for equality and youth issues that affect the refugee community, and their mission is to provide the necessary training and education that's needed for refugees and other youth to become agents and for inclusive societies in Malta and beyond. Welcome, Durga. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me in this studio.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'd also like to give a warm welcome to Deborah. She is from Agenzija Żgħażagħ, and she's a youth worker with a passion for social justice and multicultural dynamics, where she likes to create inclusive spaces for young people. Agenzija Żgħażagħ offers programs for young people aged 13 to 30 to foster confidence and unlock their full potential. They also help to foster communication between young people and decision makers as they operate within the framework of the EU Youth Strategy to ensure that the opinions and needs of young people are considered when shaping EU youth policies. Welcome, Deborah. It's really good to have you with us today.
Same for me. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, Durga, what challenges have you seen refugees or third country nationals face in connecting with local Maltese youth, and what's helped them overcome these challenges?
Well, thank you again. And the challenge itself, actually moving from your comfort zone to another, through a lot of challenge and moving to the completely new environment for you, and starting in a new country, which is culture, language, and people, all the environment that is, it's not anymore it's all exposed to yourself in a new totally environment, which you have to try to figure out everything. And my early arriving, it was one of the, my early challenges that actually I was in a dark room for some times, and the system maybe still continued the same way. Like when you arrive in Malta, you placed in detention, which you have to do the process. There is a requirement that you have to do, and after that, whether you get accepted and then you coming out, meaning you just move to the open center, which is very similar, but just this is open center, you can go in and out. And from that, seeing that challenge, I've been by myself all alone and not knowing anything. And from that, gone through a lot, build it myself up to, gone through ups and downs a lot and challenge. There is a time when I just looked at myself and cried, and there is a lot of stuff. I bet there is, hundreds of people who have a similar situation. That's where Spark come into place, where we're trying to do our best to bring those people and just be with them, in creating activity where they can start being themselves, start making friends, start making activity helping them. So that is the main mission of Spark, is helping these younger people to be part of the society with them dignity.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Deborah, how does Agenzija Żgħażagħ support youth engagement in policy making, especially for those from third country national backgrounds?
So, Agenzija Żgħażagħ is the national agency for young people. It works with different young people, and it offers service, as you correctly said, from 13-year-olds till 30-year-olds. The main part of one of the main parts of Agenzija Żgħażagħ is to implement the youth policy, and we have people, I have colleagues working directly on the youth policy, and we always make sure that it aligns with the young people's needs. So when it comes to listening to their needs, listening to what they have to say, it's important for us to implement it in the youth policy. The agency offers different services. There's the community and outreach, the empowerment and the inclusion, transition and employment programs. So when it comes to third country national young people, we do get in touch with them as well through the different services, and we try to make sure that even their voices are heard in our youth policy, which eventually it will be implemented by the government, and hopefully actions will be taken care of.
Thank you. That's quite interesting. For you, Dusa, have you had any opportunities to lead or participate in projects that promote inclusion or intercultural understanding? And what top 3 qualities do you feel are important to have in this line of work?
Well, as I've got an opportunity of crossing multicultural, and also have had an opportunity where bringing to different young people, which is more from Maltese and also from the refugee background. And as an organization, we provide quite few and quite different activities, which is integration, which is through different activities, what I'm going to explain, but then also education, which help people from improving language up to university, which is depending on what interests they are, but then also social activities, which is just bringing people from the camp or from the people who live in the communities, like bringing this community activities where they can be able to do and deliver it together. So I had quite different activities in which where 2 different cultures come together, and where people, if I don't know you and you don't know me, we just stand next to each other. There where my activity coming in play, saying, okay, get to know me and I get to know you, and teach me about something about your culture, I'll teach you about my culture. And from that, start slowly breaking down the ice, where people, end of the session, people become a friend, and they exchange social media, and then exchange phone, they keep in touch. That's kind of stuff where knowing both sides and finding the challenge, what is actually holding me back to stand just next to me without talking to you. That's what, there is a lack of language, there is a lack of information, there's lack of not knowing that person background, which is I'm completely just a skin and the same person as you, as you. So that kind of stuff where really fascinate me, and having white culture, I'm just being transparent, and also, from the mostly we involved with African culture, So bringing these young people together, being as a young person, like when they can actually tell me anything with their own language, because I can speak, but then also being able to not 100% and speaking Maltese and speaking English, knowing the culture, how I can approach people, that helping me to close to both culture together. There is a lot of open young people who willing to, dive into entering other culture as well. And, that when we created this activity, slowly people come together, they just become a friend. That's kind of, I lead a lot of activities, and that helping me to success in so many sessions. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Do you have any tips for any young person who's listening and they want to get involved and take up leadership roles like you have as well?
I think there is a lot of obviously there is we will be maybe able to come across to when we have enough time in another time. There is quite few things that self-willing is very important, and imposing yourself to the different culture. And people ignore or insult or you close to you the door because they don't have enough information. Therefore, my challenge for the young people, try to keep knocking and then, take a challenge. And people just they don't slap you, they just ignore you, That's because they ignore you, they don't really know you. So it's your opportunity or it's your responsibility to try to teach yourself, try to teach them about yourself, because sometimes I would say I tried enough, I failed, but we there is a expression, say my grandma say in my language, I'm trying to translate, when the door is closed, there is a window open. When someone is ignoring you, someone is willing to accept you. So there is always, but then also learn a language. You know, try to learn a language, and also surround yourself with the good people. There is from the refugee community, there is a lot of good people who is stable, who are trying to do enough to themselves, but then also helping others. And there is always good people around us. We have to connect ourselves to the good people. Those people will show us which path is better. So I think that's kind of stuff which help us to elevate our knowledge where we live, and also progressing our future. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Deborah, what are some successful examples of integration initiatives led by youth, both local and from migrant communities in Malta, that you've seen or been a part of?
So I am. The agency has different departments. As I mentioned earlier, I am part of the inclusion, transition, and employment youth work programs. And me and my colleagues, the other youth workers, work with groups of young people. So, for example, I work with 15 young people. My colleague works with 10. We have 3 levels, 3 years. And this year, I happen to accompany the 3rd years. So, the young people in their final year of this Youth.Inc. Life Skills program, it's called. It's based on life skills, as the title suggests. And part of a social action project they had to be involved in was a voluntary work initiative, whereby with the young people we collaborated with different NGOs in Malta, and our young people provided something back to the community. Some NGOs were YMCA, local councils in Malta, the soup kitchen. We collaborated with the community police as well. And throughout these initiatives, our young people, who are a mix of Maltese and we also have some TCNs, Third Country National Young People, they had the opportunity to integrate with the community, with service users from YMCA, from the soup kitchen. So there was this nice integration, which me and my colleague could observe. Obviously, keeping in mind that we process everything at the end of the session, because even that's the gist of youth work. So when we do a session, after we have to reflect and evaluate how things went. So when it comes to successful initiatives, this comes to my mind because it happened recently. There's also an intergenerational project going on with our first years, whereby young people are attending active aging communities, so where older people are, and there also could be a mix of nationalities. And I also wanted to share, Nazli, before, because I forgot to mention the EU Youth Dialogue. That through this platform, the young people would have an opportunity to communicate with decision makers, and their voices would be also reflected in an EU policy level. So even Agenzija Żgħażagħ offers the services of civic educational programs within schools. So in the schools there would be also young people coming from different countries which might benefit from these programs. And young people would be able to upskill their, for example, teamwork, communication skills, leadership skills through this program, so that they would be able to provide feedback to the EU Youth Dialogue, the platform which I am referring to, and they actually have a say in an EU level policy, sort of. So, because I wanted to mention it because it also reflects successful integration initiatives by young people if they are capable of planning. So they would need to learn these skills from somewhere. And apart from other institutions, which I believe there are so many good in Malta, Agenzija Żgħażagħ offers these programs as well.
Thank you very much for sharing that with us. There's quite a lot that's going around, to help the youth as well integrate. Dusa, what would you like to see or hear from Maltese policy decision makers in relation to understanding your community better? And what do you think is missing? I mean, starting from when you came and found yourself in a dark room at some point, to now being able to be a leader in your community and help others.
Sometimes I'm too much positive.
It's a good thing.
No, it's just like for me, everything is temporary. Will pass, you know. And if a very sad moment, and me on my earlier arrival in Malta, like there is a couple of people who lost their life, just giving up. And you know, they've gone through a lot. Obviously, you know, there's a desert. There is in Libya. There is they beaten so many times. They crossed the middle. They placed in detention, and the paper got rejected. And there's so many things, and people can't take it, you know. But there is always light and end of the tunnel, you know. So from where I started and today, there is a lot of situation changes. There is a lot of better system that we're seeing it, and there is some things get worse as well. The reality is there, but you know, there is a people who can do better, and we, you know, want to see more inclusion, meaning we want to see and refugee communities into at least a discussion table. And maybe that decision-making table is too much, but at least the discussion table, it will be really good, where the people who live the experience have and been able to input. This is, for example, Spark have an opportunity also being in a parliament, in the European Parliament, and there's young people who really fight, and also we are board member of the umbrella organization, which is based in Brussels. So, you know, all we're trying to do is just being able to be a voice for the voiceless. Okay. And this is for the better. And there is a lot of people who contribute to this country. And therefore, we really, there is a lot of, you know, things that we don't want to see it. We're seeing it, we're hearing. And I think that the discussion table, we need a more inclusion from the lived experience, from the community, because if we always trying to put our feet in someone's shoes, we may make things, as, you know, the decision we make, it may have impact in a badly way in another. You know, there is I really huge respect, and I feel safe, and you know, I feel being part of society, this country. You know, I grew up all my life. I arrived when I was like almost 17, and from that, building up myself up here in the this is my home. Yeah. You know, so from that, if something like, hey, park and go, like, you know, hello, you know, that's kind of stuff. It may be a lot of people who don't have a choice. You know, that's it impact in a negative way. But I think there is a lot of improvement for sure. We've seen a lot, and it's not enough. You know, but also we need a more young people to more contribute, to more engaging, to more learning. You know, how the systems work, how things is running. You know, just stay behind in complaining. You know, we have a duty, we have work to do, even as a refugee communities. You know, there's also like that means we help both sides in how holding hand in we move together forward. I think that need to be improved more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And from your side, Deborah, what do you think are the main barriers that prevent young people, both Maltese and migrants, from connecting and collaborating so that we can build a more inclusive society?
I think Dusa mentioned something earlier that sometimes we lack, everyone including me, sometimes we lack awareness of other cultures. We assume without asking or without really knowing the person, because we assume that if someone acts like that, because we only know that way, everyone is like that. So I think the lack of awareness is mostly the barrier, and the lack of asking questions, the lack of curiosity we have towards other cultures. So speaking on my experience with the young people at a company, sometimes it's difficult for them to empathize with different cultures, not because they are cruel or they are not kind, but because they lack awareness. So when we had the opportunity to have a session about culture awareness, they actually began, I won't say they understood, but began to understand something. For example, once me and my colleague adapted the workshop of Sejjaħ li Bismi, I'm not sure if you heard of it, Call Me by My Name. It's a project which was done from JRS, just with Refugee Services, and the Peace and Justice Commission. It's a photography project whereby there are different photographs of different people coming from different nationalities, and the idea is to go beyond the labels and go beyond the stigma. So it's the photo would be, for example, I'm photographed and it will be from different sides of my body. So my story, if I had to say my story, I have different aspects of my life to say, and there was the narrative next to the story. So we adapted this workshop to our young people, and we read out loud the narrative of the person being photographed. Most of them were coming from third country national. So even when young people, we would tell them, from where do you think this person is, before reading the narrative. Australia, they would like assume. But then after reading the narrative, oh well, I wouldn't have assumed, I wouldn't have. So after listening to someone's story, then we can be able to form an idea about the person. So these initiatives and these discussions should be more put on the table, and you know, young people would there would be young people who would be more like, okay, it's not my topic, which is fair enough, but there would be others who would be open to share and discuss and collaborate. So I'm really looking forward to collaborating more with also maybe NGOs like SPARK15 in future, why not, to create these discussions, these collaborations, because young people, that's what they need, the opportunities, the spaces to have to meet other people whom they might think they are different to them, but in reality, if they have the time to sit with the person and discuss, there many similarities would come up. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to focus some parts of my work on that.
It sounds really exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you. And just one more question for you. What message would you like to give to young people, both locals and those who are newcomers, in terms of your experiences in the work you're doing at SPARK15, so that we can all work together and build an inclusive society, but starting from the youth, they are our future?
I think, yeah, there's I don't know who said that the generation was our future, but like we are the future now. What are we doing? You know? So the message is actually like this is that like a more strong for the society and the host society is like, you know, there is a lot of people who come for a choice, but there is a lot of people who don't have choice. And once you are in this country, you need to, the commerce need to be, you know, there is a lot of going on, they trying to survive, they trying to make them life, they trying to live. And we also have to appreciate that all the people who arrive, they trying to do the best to contribute whatever they can. And, you know, the integration is not someone has to bring us. This integration is starting from us. We need to accept one another. We need to see it as a, you know, having curiosity, like understanding. If you have a friend or if you see someone, ask a question and then try to make a conversation with that person. That way, the integration is started. The integration is just need to be started between us, and we need to open our heart and open minded more, and also trying to be more. Have a curiosity and have like why this actually happening, why the people come. You know, there's people who don't have completely choice, you know, besides moving forward. So I think there is a lot of that for the young people. Again, you know, you come across to at the football, at the school, at the public, and the public garden where you play. There's, you know, that we live in a multicultural, like this country, like have everything in one plate, you know, like you move around, you look around, you see a lot of stuff, and then that's like try to make a friend with them, try to open mind, and also like you are the future making decision. You know, it's like you're not making decision for one, you know, you're making decision for, there is a lot of young people. Youth is studying in Malta. The foreign youth is studying, and they growing up. Once they finish their school, they contribute to this country. So I think this kind of stuff where we need to open more. We need to look around this stuff, and also from the refugee community, we need to try to be more beyond just the limitation, and expose ourselves and learning more, trying surround with the people, surround yourself with the good people. So I think
yeah, thank you very much for sharing that, Dusa. And Deborah, just one more question for you. How do you ensure that the opinions and needs of minority youth are genuinely heard and not just tokenized to promote understanding and social cohesion in Malta?
Yeah, so as a youth worker, sometimes I must say I have an agenda, a positive agenda for the young people to get something from the session, but most of the times I put aside my agenda and say, listen, it's useless having my list, so my responsibility as a youth worker is listening to their needs and actually involve them in the decision making. So even if for example we collaborated with the voluntary work NGO, the NGOs I mentioned, we led them in the decision. We invited the young people to be part of the decision progress. When it comes to minority youth and maybe the young people who are maybe a bit marginalized or are coming from different socioeconomic background, I make sure to follow them up and continue asking, because most of the time they won't come up to me or to my colleagues and say, listen, I need this. So it's through also professional judgment, we need to keep an open eye to make sure that they are actually speaking up their mind. And if they don't know how to speak their mind, or maybe there are some learning difficulties or whatever, I provide different tools. For example, if a person would need a visual to understand or to voice his opinion, let's provide the visuals. Or if a person needs an activity to understand a task or an objective of a session, let's do that activity. So we have to tailor-made everything almost to different young people. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So not because I know one marginalized young person, it means that I know the others. They have different needs. So it's my role to listen to their needs. And if I may add, there recently Agenzija Żgħażagħ has the initiative of the Migrants Youth Forum. So it's a platform whereby young people from the migrant community are invited to join the forum. It's from 18 till 30 years old, the age group. And they are invited to be part of the forum. They voice out their needs. It's a social group at the same time. So I really invite the young people to register to be part of this forum.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that there. And I'd just like to thank again once more Deborah and Dusa for coming along today and sharing their experiences and their expertise of how we can create a more inclusive society and integrating our youth as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Deborah, for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dusa. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Empower to Integrate, a collaborative initiative by Adidas Foundation and the African Media Association Malta. This program is dedicated to advancing integration and social inclusion for third country nationals in Malta. It is funded by the Asylum, Migration and Integration Fund, co-funded by the European Union and carried out in collaboration with the Parliamentary Secretariat for European Funds.